You know, we all have to die. The second you're born, you know that. But the human body has amazing healing capabilities. Exercise, plant-based whole food eating, meditation to relieve stress. We know these things help our longevity in general, that the people who are 100 do these things. Gardening for exercise is actually a pretty common one, but I mean, I've seen videos of 90-year-olds doing triathlons, so not all of them just garden. When you expect your body to be able to perform, it steps up to the plate. Maybe not making you the fastest or the strongest, but improving for sure. Oh, I had to go around because that was flooded over there. Not exactly the right tires for this type of trail, but get back over to the bike path. So yesterday I did a heavy weights full body workout, and so my muscles are still sore, especially my upper leg muscles and my shoulder muscles. But I find that easy aerobic workout, something short, not too hard, tends to increase recovery rate, give you back to normal quicker. As you age, you become more and more aware of what works for your body. But again, not everything works for everybody, but there's some general rules we can follow, right? Some type of exercise, more plants, a wide variety of plants to feed that microbiome, because our healthy microbiome does a lot of our thinking, a lot of our healing. Good sleep, meditation, prayer. People who belong to a religion and are active in their church live longer than those who are not. Not the best reason, and not the reason I believe in God, but a reason to participate in your local church, even if you don't. Educating yourself about your body throughout your life is one part of a liberal education. That is an education for the freed person. And as challenging as our national politics are here in the US, we are called to be free people. Painfully free at times, but wrestling and keeping hold of that freedom. And you can't do that if you're not well. There, of course, are other things involved with living a long life, not least of which is genetics and environment, right? Live by certain power plants. I don't know if all the exercise in the world is going to keep you healthy. You know, possibly cell phones, microplastics. You know, there's so many poisons. PCBs, is that what they're called, that are in the fish today? You know, also in the waters to some extent. Even that DDT that Rachel Carson worked to end is still in the soil. Still bad for our health. But this is part of the reason to eat at least a vegetarian, ideally vegan, and even more ideally aiming for that whole food plant-based. Because how many tons of oats does a cow eat to get a pound of flesh versus you, a pound of oats? I could have gone for a half-hour run instead of a bike today. Perfect weather after that rain. Made it impossible to mow the lawn again though. It is so hard to keep up on yard work in the rainy season in Pennsylvania, but I'm happy for it. It's good for the farmers. And we all must be farmers to some extent, right? Was it Thomas Paine and Jefferson both wrote about agrarian citizenry? So this is how America was designed to be Hamilton ended up winning the day over Patrick Henry and the others who saw freedom as requiring people to be able to produce enough food for themselves and to give labor freely rather than be required to give your labor. It's the problem, right? It's a problem with the universities, is there's too many people with PhDs. Supply and demand. You can't really demand a high salary when there's other people with as many credentials as you, even if they don't publish as much or as well, or the seminal articles. They can get somebody that's able to publish and research. In fact, over the last 20 years, they've seemed to hire a lot of people who are not the best candidates for whatever reason, but it ends up meaning that there's plenty of people not working in higher ed who would love to have tenure jobs but don't. Meaning the tenure line folk don't get paid as much as they did a generation ago. The ones still working do not have the retirement the ones that retired a decade ago have. Yeah, it is what it is. It's not a profession to go into at this point, but there's very few that are sure things. You better educate yourself liberally, because AI writes code. You know, eventually they'll be manufacturing heedless of the environmental costs just to make a couple billionaires richer. Unless, of course, we take our responsibility as liberal citizens to do something. We are, after all, in America, and we can make the changes we want, even if it's harder to fight money than anything else. It's at least possible. It's at least a possibility. But to be free, you have to be free from the medical system, which is so costly, free of need of the educational system, which charges you so much for new certificates, you'll never pay them back before that job's obsolete. And free from worry, and the only thing that can give you that is God. Christ be with us. Have a blessed day. Finally, I was accepted to play a gig at Penn State Altoona coming up on July 13th. I put in for that little competition thing. Excited to get to work on that. I have to reply to them, of course. But if you're in town, come see me.